real change.
Hey everyone, welcome to Progressive Politics Live. Today we have quite a bit of episodes to catch up on, first starting with Chris Cillizza, and we have a lot of news about Amy Klobuchar, so stay tuned to that. It's going to be a really good live episode. I'm still setting up just a little tiny bit here and there, so you might see me here and there try to prep everything. But if you guys have any comments, questions, drop a comment in the live chat right over here. I believe it is. It's where it should be. So, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. I actually wanted to address this, and I'm going to address this multiple times today. My question is, so Katie Hill is dropping out, and she's in Santa Clarita, and I'm in Santa Clarita. So I'm wondering if that's something I should look into, is running for Congress. I don't know. Not sure. But I wanted you guys' thoughts on that. That'd be pretty cool, though. Be a YouTube commenter and well, I'd obviously quit that job, but it'd be nice to have someone who's like Kyle Kulinski in Congress. I'm not Kyle Kulinski, but I've developed a lot of my style from him, having watched him so many times. All right, so still getting into this, still prepping a little bit. I think we're ready. Let's get into the first segment. Gotta prep a couple things here. Looks like everything's good to go. This is on Chris Cillizza. CNN's most hated editor, Chris Cillizza, did a segment on impeachment. The purpose of the segment is to clarify what's going on in simple terms. Instead, the video seems to intentionally confuse the hell out of the viewer. Take a look. I don't have the video prepped. See, this is why we do, every time we do live, this kind of thing happens. Let's try that one more time. We're gonna have to restart this episode. I have my cat. Hey, you guys want to see he's in the shot now. Everyone say hi to Kid. This is my cat, Kid. Say hi, Kid. He got on my shot, and then I have to restart this segment. Hey, buddy. Gotta go. Okay, I gotta kick him out, so we'll be right back in about 30 seconds or so. So stay tuned. All right, we're back. Okay, so fix the cat thing. Now we can actually try to get this Chris Cillizza, Satan. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. CNN's most hated editor, Chris Cillizza, whatever it is, did a segment on impeachment. The purpose of the segment is to clarify what's going on in simple terms. Now, instead, the video seems to intentionally confuse the hell out of the viewer. Take a look.
We are knee-deep in the impeachment investigation into President Donald Trump and his pressure campaign against the Ukrainians. But there's so much that happens on a daily, much less weekly basis, it's hard to keep track of what matters and what, well, doesn't. That's where I come in. We start here with 5 impeachment stories from the week that was in just 30 seconds. Story number 1, roughly 24 House Republicans led by Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz stormed a secure hearing room to interrupt witness testimony. U.S. diplomat Bill Taylor directly tied Donald Trump to the Ukrainian quid pro quo. A new CNN poll found 50% support for impeaching Trump and removing him from office. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell denied that he told Trump his call with the Ukrainian president was perfect, and President Trump called the impeachment inquiry a lynching. So look, there are a lot of spokes in this impeachment story, but there's only one hub, and that hub is not Donald Trump right now, but Rudy Giuliani.
Wow, now I understand. Whereas before watching this video, I didn't understand, but now I understand everything. But now that Chris explained it, it all makes sense now. Like, dude, this is the second video this guy has done. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. Like, he just throws a bunch of stuff at you. It says like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to explain it really simply. I know it's really complex and everything. So that's where I come in. I'm going to make things really simple and everything's going to make sense now. So let's do everything in 30 seconds. Like, imagine taking a calculus class for a moment here and the professor saying, and I haven't done this. I taught math, but I couldn't imagine doing this. Imagine the professor saying, listen, I know calculus is really hard and stuff, and I know it's really complex, so let me explain it to you in 30 seconds. You're gonna what? No, that's not how you teach. That doesn't make calculus easier to understand. If you condense things, if you condense a lot of information, oftentimes you oversimplify and you have to like catch up and speak really fast to make up for the time that you're condensing. Like, it's not a good idea, dude. This is the second time he's done this too. This is literally the second time he produced a video, published it on YouTube, where he says 5 stories in 30 seconds. Oh, so well, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. That dude, he just went through 5 headlines and their meanings, like, in 30 seconds. That's 6 seconds, by the way, per headline and some commentary. That's just not the best way of trying to simplify something. So if I'm trying to teach, here's another example. If I'm trying to teach American football to a foreigner, I don't tell them how it works with like 5 major points in 30 seconds. That's just not how you do it. Explainer videos should be long because you're introducing your audience to what's going on. Imagine not knowing that the whole impeachment thing was about and then watching this video. They'd be against impeachment in a heartbeat. And I feel like that's like the purpose of this video. Implicitly, I think CNN is trying to throw people off in the same way that a lot of Republicans are trying to throw people off. The purpose of this video should be to explain why Democrats are trying to impeach Trump, but instead it's a video meant to confuse you so that you don't know where to look. And if you don't know where to look, then you'll feel like the Democrats in Congress don't know why they're impeaching Trump. That's what Fox News hosts are trying to do. That's a practical way to make Trump look good, bro. That shouldn't be the intention of this video. Chris, you're really annoying. And I'm shocked that this was the first video, by the way, that actually got more likes than dislikes that he did. And don't be like, oh, yay, Chris. That's not a good thing, dude. Every single one of your videos up to this point has had more dislikes than likes. You'd think after like 3 times, that would be a sign of, that would tell you like, hey, dude, YouTube's probably not your thing. Maybe you should stick with mainstream media. Maybe you should, quit your job. In fact, that'd be better. But, of course, he's paid millions of dollars to spew garbage. Dude, I can't understand how YouTube even recommends this stuff. And this goes to a different issue of YouTube is trying to skew their algorithms towards CNN and Fox News. It used to be, I don't know if you guys know this, it used to be CNN had like 100,000 subscribers. Excuse me. Wow. CNN had like 100,000 subscribers or something like that. It was really small and it wasn't changing. And then all of a sudden over the last year or so, they've surpassed TYT. And so it used to be TYT was the #1 online news platform, and that made a lot of sense. But then all of a sudden, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all of the mainstream media news outlets surpassed TYT instantly. And it's not like they drastically changed how they provide the news. It's not like they made more videos. It was just all of a sudden, boom, mainstream media is in YouTube. And why do you think that is? Obviously, that's the goal of YouTube. It's the goal of Google because they have a corporate interest. They like, spewing propaganda that influences people to, promote. It influences people to vote in favor of tax cuts for the rich. That's what it is. That's what YouTube's trying to do. And if you don't believe that, I know that sounds conspiratorial to a lot of people, even progressives, but it's just a fact. YouTube, it's just what, you don't randomly just go from 100,000 subscribers to millions of subscribers like that. That doesn't happen. People earn their way. They don't just poof, all of a sudden, Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, even TYT, like all of the Secular Talk, David Pakman, like all these people, they rose to where they are and subscriber levels because they earned it, because they worked hard, because they produced more videos. And it was a very slow growth. And every once in a while, they'd produce a video that's really good, and they would get millions of views. And it's like Chris Cillizza can post a video that gets more dislikes than likes, and YouTube's like, I like that. That makes more sense. Come on. This is how the game is played, though. Hey everyone, so I'm going to read some comments. Looks like we got some viewers. It's pretty good, not bad. Mr. Red, I think that's how it is. Mr. Red says, yeah, I've heard about Katie Hill. That's unfortunate. That'd be nice to have a Kyle Kulinski in office. Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm in this. This is it's not a small city. Like, if you're in the middle of the country, that this is definitely not a small city, but Santa Clarita is small relative to LA. It's in LA County, but it's pretty small. And I just moved here, so that's working against me, but I would run as a Justice Democrat, which would be pretty cool. So I've considered it. I would need 2,000 signatures. I have the money, which is interesting. Like, many of you guys know this, but I quit my job as a university instructor and moved to Santa Clarita just because it's really cool out here. And I'm making money off of the stock market, and I'm just, investing off of that. So, I have a great deal of money, but that doesn't mean I'm, just because I have a lot of money doesn't mean I'm in favor of, I'm in favor of tax cuts for the rich. That's not the case. I want to cut taxes for the middle class, and I want to raise taxes on the rich heavily. So that's my intention, at least. That would be my intention. And so I think that's really popular in Santa Clarita. And the thing about Katie Hill is she flipped Santa Clarita. She flipped this district, the 25th district, from red to blue. And that was a huge monumental shift especially for California, because she was a progressive. And I think that's why she won too, because you'd have Democrats run in Santa Clarita. They would never win, even though like Santa Clarita is pretty blue, but they would never win because establishment Democrats just don't know how to win their voters. Right. But, if you have someone like Katie Hill or someone, like potentially myself, I don't know, run, that I think that's why Katie Hill won. And I think I don't know. If I ran this, I definitely I believe I could win, especially considering like I have the funding, I have the money at least. I would self-fund, but I would also probably take donations, of course, but I wouldn't take any PAC money or anything like that, or fundraisers or anything. Voters don't want that. So I've thought about it. I'm really thinking about it because this just popped up, and Katie Hill's a progressive. She's stepping down. She's proof of concept that progressives can win. So I don't know. I'll think about it. Let's see here. Mr. Red says, I live in California. That's awesome that you live in Santa Clarita, California. What part do you live in? Santa Clarita is the best part because we got Six Flags. Yeah. Six Flags is awesome, but we also have a lot of like fun little events. Like there was they canceled the chili cook-off because of the fires, but we've had 2 fires over here. We had the Saddle Ridge fire and the Tick fire, which is absolutely crazy. I could see it from my apartment, which is pretty wild. That was a little scary. Annex says calculus in 30 seconds. Yeah, that'd be crazy. Mr. Red says, I really hate that guy too. He thinks he's cool and funny. He sounds no different than Steven Crowder. Yeah, and the thing is, like, he comes across the vibes of Steven Crowder. Like, Steven Crowder pretends like he's cool, right? Like he's obnoxious. He's annoying, right? But he comes across. He thinks he comes across as like, I'm cool and edgy. Chris Cillizza takes that, though, I think, to a different level because, I think Chris Cillizza is a lot older than Crowder, and so it comes across as like this, hey, I'm edgy too. I'm like 20 really, but I'm actually 40 something, maybe 50, but I'm actually 20. Okay? That's what he comes across as, and it's just I hate that so much. It's like Klobuchar. She reminds me of Klobuchar because Klobuchar would, she thinks like she's this young female candidate because she's like 59 or something like that, and it just drives me nuts. All right, so I'm gonna skip some here. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. No, I won't skip these. These are pretty good. Mr. Red says, I cannot stomach the rhetoric that CNN constantly spews. Oh, me neither. I definitely can't either. Mr. Red says, agreed, YouTube is just a corporation. Oh, sorry, this is Annex. Agreed, YouTube is just a corporation who manipulates towards their own interests. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and there's a reason why they keep it all secret. Mr. Red said, you pronounced my name correctly, thank you. Okay, good. Annex says, I live in the East Coast, but I've spent some time on the West Coast as well. Good. I've never been really on the East Coast, so I wouldn't know what that's like. Mr. Red says, yeah, I've been to Santa Clarita many times, especially that part of California. It's the best part. I mean, there's no question about it. There's no traffic. Think about that for a second. We're in LA County and there's no traffic in Santa Clarita ever. It's the same traffic 24/7. I love it. JCRJ says definitely should run. So if you guys want to go to Justice Democrats, and if you like go to their website and you can nominate me. If I get contacted by Justice Democrats, then I would probably consider running. I'm not going to nominate myself, but if you guys are if you want to consider doing it, I'd probably go for it. Especially if I had the small dollar donations. Tech Advice says #FeelTheBurn 2020. I'm there with you, man. Bernie needs to win. It's Bernie or bust at this point because I'm starting to really not like Elizabeth Warren. Like, I didn't like her in the past. She's my second favorite, obviously, but it's Bernie way up here, Elizabeth Warren way down here, and then everyone else way bottom floor. Like, I would never vote for Klobuchar or anyone like that, but yeah, at this point, I'm starting to really not like Elizabeth Warren more and more every day. And it's got to be Bernie or not. It's Bernie or bust. That's what it is, guys. It's Bernie or bust. If you guys don't vote for Bernie, then you're complicit. All right. So anyways, I'm going to go to a quick break and then we'll come right back.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition, free college tuition, free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Sanders about income inequality.
No America works week should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
It's been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not isolation. We are not going. That's right.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 1,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raised for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great can accomplish.
No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get it done.
All right, let's get into the next segment. This one's about Amy Klobuchar. Bill Maher somehow managed to contradict himself in a span of a few minutes regarding identity politics. In the first part of this video, you'll see Bill Maher oppose identity politics, but in the second part, you'll see how he dives headfirst into identity politics by suggesting that Amy Klobuchar is the best center-left candidate because she's younger and she's a woman. So take a look at this first part, and then we'll look at the second part after.
Last time.
But
didn't work
that's
out
different.
so well.
I'm going to make him pay for it.
Well, I think you probably could. I hope you can.
Yeah.
Do you think the Democrats, though, are too into identity politics? I mean, a lot of people in the middle of the country, which you represent so well, they see that D next to someone's name, and it's just something they can't get behind.
So clearly he's framing identity politics in a bad light in that video. And so probably because, by the way, identity politics is obviously the worst approach you can make when you're choosing your favorite candidate. So take a look at how Bill Maher dives headfirst into identity politics later in this same interview. This is 5 minutes after what you just watched. Watch Bill Maher head just face first into identity politics.
And I've always said that also, we were talking about age with Howard. I've always fought against ageism because it's a judgmental thing that, very few, you can do that by very few other things in America anymore. It's a case-by-case basis. Elizabeth Warren is 70, she looks 50 and acts 20. She took selfies with 4,000 people. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I trust someone who wants to be president that much. Joe, I don't know. And Bernie, just had a heart attack. I think, I'm not trying to get Joe out, but we do need someone in the center who's, say, younger and femaler. Honestly, you know,
Right.
Wow. What happened? What happened, Bill? I thought, you know, you don't like this whole identity politics thing. I thought you framed it in this bad light, and then boom, Amy Klobuchar. She's younger. She's more femaler. What does that sound like to you guys? What does that sound like? Well, is that policy? No, it's not policy. What is that? It sounds like identity politics. Amy Klobuchar is better because this is what he said, because she's a woman and she's younger. She literally has 1% in the polls right now. And Bill is concerned about Joe Biden as a falling stock. That's what he said earlier in that video. Bill, listen, if you don't support Joe Biden because he's a falling stock, then why don't you just support, like, you know, Elizabeth Warren, considering she's the current rising stock? Now, I'd recommend Bernie Sanders, but I'll give to Warren that she has risen in popularity. If that's the only thing that matters to you, Bill, is rising popularity, then why not support Elizabeth Warren? She's a rising stock in that sense. Now, of course, he would call Warren a socialist, but you really need to do some self-reflection if your second choice to Joe Biden is a 59-year-old younger woman with a popularity of 1%, by the way. In fact, if you want a rising stock that is a younger woman, Kamala Harris beats Amy Klobuchar on every measure. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, like, you can go down the list of all these younger women. I mean, Kamala Harris is a terrible candidate, but by Bill's terrible logic, I'm going off of Bill's terrible logic. Don't think I'm endorsing any of these people. I'm a Bernie supporter through and through. But by Bill's terrible logic, he should go for Kamala, right? Oh, but she supports a rundown version of Medicare for all, so she must be a socialist too, you know? Damn it. Damn it, Bill. Your show is such a laughing stock. This video had more dislikes than likes. Come on, dude, just do some basic analysis of your videos. That seems to be like a regular thing now for Bill Maher. Gosh, there wasn't a single policy mentioned in that entire interview. In fact, I'm doing another video where I focus on the policy substance in this interview, or lack thereof, I should say. Make sure to check that out. But I really want to stress this. Bill Maher, people think this guy's serious. People look at Bill Maher and they're like, yeah, I mean, he supports Amy Klobuchar. I mean, that's obviously the second choice. Like, it's Joe Biden, number one, right? Joe Biden, number one. Number two, Amy Klobuchar. Whoa, what are you doing there? What kind of manipulation is that? See, that's the thing. Like, Joe Biden is a falling stock, right? There's so many people in between there. Like, I'll give you Kamala Harris, dude. Come on. You're such a hack, Bill. All right, let's head over to the comments. Let's see here. Varun Reddy Mother says, Andrew Yang too? WTF Tulsi? Yeah, so I mean, I'd be down with Tulsi Gabbard, don't get me wrong. But realistically speaking, she's not going to happen. Sorry, and I wouldn't necessarily blame the people. I would blame, the DNC, people like Hillary Clinton who's screwing with her. There's a lot of crap going on with Tulsi Gabbard, and it's not her fault. So I don't blame her for why she's so low in the polls right now. There's a lot of stupid manipulation with how she didn't get into how she there's a lot of bull crap stuff with Tulsi Gabbard, and so She's like a Bernie Sanders version, 2016 Bernie Sanders of 2016 version. She's I don't know how to say that. She's like Bernie Sanders in 2016 who got screwed over. So it's not her fault. Andrew Yang, I'm not a fan of, primarily because he's too much into the spirit of the idea of Medicare for all, of the Green New Deal, things that we absolutely need. And for that reason, his freedom dividend idea, the universal basic income idea, does not make up for his lack of solid, he's not on a solid platform of Medicare for all. It's not Medicare for all. It's something else. It's a washed down version of Medicare for all. It's a washed down version of Green New Deal. And for that, I'm a little wishy-washy on Andrew Yang. I'll of course get like 30 dislikes on this video because I just said that. All right, let's see here. Mr. Red says, Six Flags Magic Mountain is awesome. As for where I live, I don't want to say too much for my own good, but just 30 minutes or so away from Santa Clarita. Okay. Elizabeth Warren is a full-blown neoliberal. I wouldn't say that. No, she's not a full-blown neoliberal. If I had to choose between her and Nancy Pelosi, it's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum between progressivism and neoliberal. It's not a black and white thing. So I wouldn't say she's a full-blown neoliberal. She's more neoliberal than I would want her to be, though, for sure, 100%. Annex says Bernie or bust, but I'm so glad of how left the Democrats have been forced to move since last election. If Hillary had won last time, the left would just embrace the establishment. That's actually probably true. Trump is probably one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are high in the polls right now. So that's a good point. Mr. Red says, make the dream real, Senator Bernie Sanders, with Bernie or bust. Very true. Annex says, in my opinion, Amy is a radical centrist. Very true. Mr. Red says, Bill Maher sucks. I don't know what happened to him. He's on MSNBC or whatever it is. MSNBC? No, I don't know. Real time. I don't know what it is, HBO or something like that, but you know how that is. Annex says, Bernie just had a heart attack. Wow, Bill, that's your best shot against him. Yeah, it is. Oh, and he's a socialist. By the way, when earlier in that interview, he mentioned Bernie Sanders, the audience applauded. I might do a video on just that moment because it's so funny. Annex says, identity politics. Zbisish RTH says, Tulsi Gabbard for the win. Bernie or bust. Sorry to burst your bubble, man. I'm Bernie or bust. Annex said, Bill used to be good, but he's turned into a money addict with all the sentiments of an addict caring about themselves versus the damage they do to society. Absolutely. Very true. RTH says, from where exactly are you going to get $3.2 trillion a year? You need to be specific. So I think you're referring to Medicare for all. And so the idea is that let me start from something very important regarding Medicare for all. Premiums, copays, and deductibles are recognized as a tax by the Supreme Court. So they are taxed. So they are taxes. It's not that they're taxed. They are taxes already. This is something that was established during Obama's presidency in the Supreme Court. So whenever you pay a premium to a health insurance provider, you are giving taxes. And the reason why I know that to be true and why you might know that is because you're actually able to deduct your healthcare expenses. And so because of that, healthcare expenses are a tax in and of themselves. You don't want to be double taxed. So they're absolutely taxes already. And so when you eliminate those, you're eliminating at least $3.4 trillion a year in taxes. And so you take that $3.4 trillion of taxes and move it over to $3.2 trillion. So you're saving $200 billion a year. So that's how, it saves $2 trillion a year. It's not like the $3.2 trillion is poof coming out of nowhere. It's moving taxes. It's like, imagine, it's essentially what Donald Trump did with the military. He moved funding from the Pentagon to reconstruct a lot of the wall. It's not like he didn't have the money, so to speak, because he's redirecting money that's already being spent. And so that's what we're doing with healthcare expenses with Medicare for All. So there's no new taxes. There's no taxes. Your taxes do not go up, literally. So unfortunately, Elizabeth Warren isn't sticking to that, and Bernie Sanders is not clarifying that. He clarified that once, but then kind of lost that message, unfortunately. So we got to move on to the next segment. So I'm gonna play a quick ad, and then we'll come back after that.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition. Free college tuition. Free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration.
We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish. Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
All right, so we're running into weird technical difficulties with that ad, but that's fine. We'll just move on to this next segment. So this is on Amy Klobuchar one more time with the interview with Bill Maher. This ought to be good. Make sure I have prepped everything first. Make sure that video works. Okay. All right, we're good. Hold on. Let me make sure. All right. Bill Maher recently interviewed Amy Klobuchar in what had to be the most pathetic interview I've seen thus far in 2019. Not one policy was proposed, and a bunch of cringy cliches were thrown out there with virtually no meaning behind them. There were so many words in this video, but not one productive statement was made. Take a look at this first part, and then we'll talk about it.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so Trump was in Minnesota.
That's right.
He says he can win it. That is the state that they are.
That's wrong. So.
That's wrong?
Yeah.
Well, that's the one they think they can flip.
Well, that is not going to happen as long as I'm leading the ticket. And one of the reasons that I think we need to bring more people in is because we've got to win not just Minnesota, which was close last time in his race, but then I came storming back in 2018 and won every Republican congressional district. And what we need to do is to extend that out to Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. I just went to all of those states, met with carpenters, met with dock workers, people who he had made promises to that have been left behind by President Trump. And so what I want to do is build a blue wall around those states.
Oh, I heard that term last time.
But
didn't work
that's
out
different.
so well.
I'm going to make him pay for it.
Well,
that was so bad. What does that mean, Amy Klobuchar? What does that mean? Amy Klobuchar literally reminds me of that famous old episode. I don't know if you all remember this. That famous episode from Family Guy where Lois Griffin ran for mayor and she just had to say, 9/11 was bad. And then she said like 9/11. That's a really weird Lois impression. And the audience would like give her a standing ovation, right? That episode was this interview summed up. You're gonna build a blue wall? How? What are you going to do? Gosh. She even gave this face at the end there. Like a gotcha moment. Like like it was something that she landed perfectly. But that's the thing, Amy, is that you can't land anything because you have nothing substantive to land. You just throw cliches that don't mean anything. You might as well just say, I'm with her, or better yet, 9/11 was bad, right? And you'd be able to land better than you just did right there. I'm gonna build a blue wall and I'm gonna make him pay for it. Oh my gosh. Keep in mind that Bill Maher prefers Amy Klobuchar over Joe Biden right now. Let that sink in for a minute. Amy Klobuchar over Joe Biden. Bill Maher, it's like, Bill Maher, it was Joe Biden #1, but now that he's a falling stock, now it's Amy Klobuchar. Well, what about those other people in the that person way on the left, a part of the stage, on the debate stage, who no one even recognizes exists? Everyone's like, who's Amy Klobuchar? Isn't that one that's like John Delaney, but a female version? Yeah, that one that no one recognized, that's Amy Klobuchar. That's the one Bill Maher's like, yep, that's her. That's President 2020 right there. Amy Klobuchar can't even land a gotcha on Joe Biden in the debates. And he's like the easiest person to dunk on. There's so much you can dunk on, and she literally can't. Why would you support a candidate who has tried way too hard to dunk on her opponents, but just misses every single time? It's not over, though. Take a look at this next video.
And we have a real fired up base right now, and that is going to be so important. People who have felt hurt by this guy, hurt by his rhetoric, wake up in the morning seeing him go after their entire city and calling it rat infested. Those things have happened. But when you get to the middle of the country, his trade war has hurt a bunch of our farmers. They've got soybeans mounting up in bins. His rhetoric is not what people want to have their kids listen to, and they have to turn down the TV every single time he goes on TV. I remember the days when if you didn't agree with the president, or maybe you didn't even vote for them, you'd be proud to say, this is my nation and this is my leader. That's not true with this president. When you look at what he has done, so to me, this is about economics and not standing up like I would and taking on the pharmaceutical industry and not doing anything when it comes to training people and making sure they're ready for the jobs of tomorrow and immigration reform. It's about all those things, but it's also about values. We believe in America.
But how are you going to do those things? How? You're going to take on the pharmaceutical industry. How? Finish that thought. You can't just say immigration reform and pretend like that's a policy. Like, oh, yeah. I support her because of immigration reform. That's why I support her. That's not a thing to run. That's not a policy. Trump wants immigration reform, and so does Bernie. But people want to know what you mean, Amy. What do you mean by immigration reform? Of course, instead of addressing even a shred of insight into her positions, she jumps to values. But she doesn't clarify any values whatsoever. Like, I could play the rest of the video. There's not a single value she mentions. She just mentions how she's going to win big. She's going to win big. She's going to build a wall. It's going to be huge. Right? That's what she says. I don't see how you can win big when you can't even tell us what you stand for. It's not over, though. There's more. Amy Klobuchar managed to also crap on Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in this interview in the most predictable possible way. She landed this point even worse this time, though. Take a look.
So for me, it is, of course, going to those states. I don't have as much money as a number of my opponents, but I have enough money to win. We're doing this the right way, the grassroots way, and building up endorsements and support. And that's how you win an election in America. And that's the path
I mean, obviously, this is a fight between two wings of the party, which is almost every election. There is a center in the Democrat, a center-left wing. You're plenty liberal. You're plenty progressive. And then there's a far left, which I think would be represented by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We all like them, too. Are they too left? Is Elizabeth Warren too far left to get elected in a general election?
Again, I want to win big. And if someone is looking to kick 149 million Americans off their current health insurance in 4 years, then I'm not your candidate.
There it is. You're throwing everyone off of their private insurance while simultaneously putting them on the best possible insurance policy you can construct. That's Medicare for all. Literally, zero deductible, zero copay, zero premiums, and you can pick any doctor who offers services in the US. That's all in the bill. He wrote the damn bill, right? Like that. If you disagree with that, then that's just your feelings. Because that's what the law that's what the bill says for Bernie's Medicare for all. That's what it clearly states. It's just not debatable. Why would you make a point that people are getting kicked off their health insurance? She goes on, by the way, to talk about how people are getting kicked off their health insurance. You know, it's not fair. It's not, imagine if I wanted to give you a free car, but that I'd force you to get rid of your old one. This new car is a Tesla Roadster, let's suppose. Would you be pissed off? Would you be pissed off? There's a reason that Medicare for All has over 70% support, Amy Klobuchar, and it's because your stupid arguments are stupid. She then made this argument that Sanders and Warren want to send. She said this in the interview. She said She made this argument that Sanders and Warren want to send rich kids to college for free. Let me play the rest of this video, and then we'll talk about that.
If you want to use a bunch of hardworking people's money to send rich people's kids to college for free, then I'm not your candidate. And just because people say ideas are bold doesn't mean they're bold. They may be bad.
See, there it is. Like, but that's not what free college is, Amy. In fact, that's how college works right now. If you want to go to college, you better first be rich so that you can afford it. And if you're rich enough, it's basically free. It's free, right? If college is free for the rich right now, it's relatively free for the rich. The point of making college free is that people can get into college based on what's called merit, not riches. She knows that, though. She knows that. She's one of the worst candidates I've ever seen. She's down there with John Delaney at this point. In fact, I went to these candidates' YouTube channels. Listen to this. Bernie Sanders has over 233,000 subscribers right now. John Delaney has, 558 subscribers total. I have more subscribers than John Delaney on YouTube right now. All his videos that he posts and on Twitter and everything, they go up there. All his ads, they go up there. He has 588 subs. That's it. Amy Klobuchar has, hold, 386. That's it. Amy, you need to drop out. You'll never be president. You'll never be president. And you probably won't even win again in the Senate in 2024. Let's read some live chat messages. Puppet says, what happened to your hair? Do you have cancer? No, I don't have cancer. I cut it. It's a little thin. It's you know, this is the thing though. If you're a guy, you can totally get me on this. I cut it short. I cut it short because I don't like going to get a haircut. It's boring. It's totally boring. So, and my wife is awesome. She actually cuts my hair. So, she's amazing. It looks amazing. I like it. And it's nice because it's nice that it's short so that like I don't have to do this again for another 2 months. So, Mr. Red says Bill Maher and Ellen DeGeneres are gross and disgusting. Yes, they are. Evan says production quality on point, mad underrated. Yeah, this it takes a lot to produce this video. These videos, it takes a lot to do this live feed, to have this, it's all it's all I'm funding all of this, and it's expensive. It's expensive to keep up all this stuff. And this studio's in California. It's not that cheap. Let's just put it that. But that being said, yeah, YouTube underrates me because of the YouTube algorithm. YouTube does not want to give me more views. And I see so many other, people with hundreds of thousands of views, and they have trash quality. And it gets me how, they can produce. And by the way, it's primarily conservative channels. Conservative channels, you do not need good quality to get really huge numbers of subs. And it's sad. There are so many conservative channels that have over 100,000 subs. They've only posted 10 videos, and they all have 1 million views each. And it's why? And they're terrible quality. I don't know. You know how it is. JCRJ says Klobuchar makes me want to jump in front of a moving train. Don't do it. She won't win. Don't worry. But yeah, her talking is. The fact that she's even in the Senate, she's a Republican. Let's just say it, guys. She's a Republican. She's red in the Senate. That's what she is. We need a real Democrat. We need a progressive. Let's see. Mr. Red says Amy Klobuchar is terrible, horrible. Yeah, she is. Puppet says Klobuchar is building a wall in front of Medicare for all and making us all pay for it. I'd vote for a dead rat before I'd vote for Biden. Yeah. I might too. Mr. Red says, wow, that's how low Bill Maher has gotten. Yeah, he's gotten pretty low. And he keeps lowering the bar somehow. I don't know how. JCRJ says, #DeadRat2020. Let's make that a thing. Mr. Red says, what is Amy Klobuchar talking about? I don't know. She's just words. Annex says, platitudes. Yep, that's what they are. Annex says, Amy thinks if she throws shade at progressives that Trump supporters will vote for her. Right? That's not how it works, though. Trump supporters aren't ooh, hey, look at this other person who's kind of throwing dirt at other progressives and things that I like. That's not a thing. Puppet Image says, thank God Sanders came along and changed politics. Now people can see through human garbage like this. Yeah, seriously. About maybe 10 years ago, I was very different. I was actually a Republican when I was a teenager. So once I understood Bernie Sanders and his policies and understood international politics, then yeah, I think we all changed, which was really cool. Anyways, I have to move on. Sorry, guys. Just have to move on to the next segment.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition, free college tuition, free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish.
So let's move on to this next segment. This is one more thing on Amy Klobuchar. I don't like her, I promise, guys. I know there's another video. I know you guys can't stand her, but we really got to do this segment because she's just so sad. And I already messed this up. we have to run that intro one more time, everyone. Sorry. I have to make sure the video is all prepped. It was not prepped, so let's try that one more time. A lot of stuff. I'm the only person in this entire studio thing, so it's hard to manage every single little thing. All right, here we go. Amy Klobuchar recently ran an ad for her campaign. I want to show you this ad, but before I show you her ad, I want to show you a good ad. I want to show you what a good ad looks like first. When you watch this ad from Bernie Sanders, you'll see exactly why Amy Klobuchar's ad is so bad. Take a look at Bernie's ad first.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against.
All right, sorry everyone. We have to start this video one more time. We have to play this one more time. So I know you guys keep seeing this ad over and over again, but the audio was muted. Yeah, the sound wasn't working, so I have to start it one more time. So sorry everyone. Here we go. Try that one more time. Amy Klobuchar recently ran an ad for her campaign. I want to show you this ad, but before I show you her ad, I want to show you what a good ad looks like first. When you watch this ad from Bernie Sanders, you'll see exactly why Amy Klobuchar's ad is so bad. So let's take a look at this good ad first.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition, free college tuition, free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish.
That was a good video. That's what a good video looks like. It shows all the policies. It shows Bernie Sanders' past, his voting history, what he stands on, what he actually fights for. He literally goes to places and makes change happen, unlike Amy Klobuchar, who pretends like she can make change happen by basically doing bipartisanship tactics, which is absolute, hogwash for she'll just pass right-wing agenda. So let's take a look now at Amy Klobuchar's ad. I know I've probably already lost like 80% of my audience by this point in the video, but for those of you who still decided to be here, take a look at her ad.
If you feel stuck in the middle of the extremes in our politics and you are tired of the noise and the nonsense, you've got a home with me. I am someone that tells the truth. I don't make promises that I can't keep. I have people's back, and I believe that to win, you bring people with you, and that is how you govern as well. Because I don't want to be the president for half of America. I want to be the president for all of America.
I'm Amy Klobuchar, and I approve this message.
That entire video was literally just a bunch of stock footage, a dry acoustic soundtrack from YouTube's audio library, and Amy Klobuchar's introduction to the last debate. Don't turn the intro to your recent debate into your ad. That's a bad idea. Especially when that very intro that you gave at the debate had no applause. Now, besides that, there's just so many obvious things that are wrong with this ad. If you masked her voice and played just the audio, like if you masked her voice in like this low bassy tone, right? So you couldn't tell who it was, it would be impossible to tell who that candidate was. So if I play that again and I just like lowered the pitch a bunch so you wouldn't be able to tell who the candidate was, there would be no other way of determining who that candidate was. The only thing she stood on was that she tells the truth. Wow, Amy. You tell the truth. That makes you so good. Here's the thing. I'm sure a lot of Republicans tell the truth. What makes you better, Amy? You see, you can't answer that question because you have no substance. You're just a female version of John Delaney and nothing more. That's it. What's worse is that if every other presidential candidate died of a heart attack, people would probably vote for a cat over Amy Klobuchar. And you know that's true. You know that's true. Remember how like there's this Alaskan mayor that's a cat, right? That was like a joke and everything. And that would happen if Amy Klobuchar ran for president. That would happen. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. I'm not kidding. You know that's true. Because at least a cat won't screw this country more than Amy would. Let's just be honest. She's a Republican. She's a Republican. She just won't admit it because she likes to think that she's on the right side. Left being the left side. She's not though. If anything, she's not right. She's just on the right. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. It's going to say starting soon. I'm going to be gone for we're going to take maybe a 2-3 minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll do some more videos. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon. Hey everyone, we're back. I'm making some toast right now, so I might grab some toast after the segment. I feel like I'm copying Kyle Kulinski in that sense, but I actually genuinely want toast. All right, so but before I do that, I want to do a video on TP USA, Turning Point USA, which I cannot stand at all. They suck. They're absolute garbage. So let's take a look at this video, or let's do this next segment. How about that? Turning Point USA wants to explain to you why gay rights are gun rights. Now, what does that mean, you ask? Well, take a look at this video and then we'll talk about it.
My name is Rob Smith. In 180 seconds, I'm going to convince you why gay rights are gun rights. Let's go. So here's a fact. Gay people are attacked for being gay. LGBT people are attacked for being in this community. So why the hell will we let the left take away our guns? According to the FBI, in 2017, people who were attacked for their sexual orientation or gender identity made up nearly 17% of all hate crimes. Hate crimes are real. They really do happen. People are beaten and attacked and killed for being gay. So why are we voluntarily supporting initiatives that are going to take away our right to defend ourselves? This clearly played out in the horrific tragedy in 2016 when a terrorist walked in to Pulse nightclub in Orlando and killed 49 gays and lesbians. So in the wake of that horrific tragedy, the left gave us groups like Gays Against Guns. You would think that they would give us groups like, I don't know, Gays Against Terrorists. After a terrorist walked into a gay club and killed 49 gays and lesbians, you would think the left would want me to have as much opportunity as possible to protect myself. I served in the military. I know my way around a gun. I want to continue to have the right to do so that I can protect myself, so that I can protect my husband, so that I can protect my fellow Americans, if that's what it comes down to. And that is a right that everyone else should want as well. A study from the Williams Institute says that domestic violence between same-sex couples is actually higher than in the general population. So that means, according to statistics, gay people should place an even higher value on protecting ourselves than the general population. Why would the left want to disarm a population that are statistically more likely to be targets of violence? So also according to that Williams Institute study, gays are half as likely as straights to own a firearm. So why are we less likely to own a firearm when we're more likely to be targets of anti-gay hate crimes and violence? LGBT people are Americans too. We have the same rights that were enshrined in the Constitution that gave us the rights to protect ourselves and the people that we love. That's why gay rights are gun rights. I'm not telling you what to think, I'm telling you to think. I'm Rob Smith, that was 180 seconds.
Why do you need an assault rifle to defend yourself? Like he's talking about how he was like, I was in the military and so I know my way around a firearm. Yeah, but when you're in the military, you use assault rifles because they're military weapons. They're weapons designed for the military. Why do you need those weapons in your house to defend yourself? Now understand something. Rob Smith is trying to focus on hate crimes. But the same argument can be made about violent crimes in general. It's just that Turning Point USA likes to hide their right-wing agenda underneath this black gay man, Rob Smith, so that they can sound slightly left and edgy. But that's beside the point, though. The focus should be violent crimes. The argument is really about protecting yourself from violence. And he keeps mentioning how we need to be able to defend ourselves. That's not a gay thing. That's a gun rights thing. That's a gun violence thing. So here's the question I have. Why do you need an assault rifle? Where's the limit here? Like, what is someone gonna walk into your house and you're gonna be like, oh, good thing I got myself some 40 rounds to dump on this guy? Oh, the best question you can ask a right-winger that doesn't support gun control is you ask them if they think rocket launchers should be legalized. And if that gun control is too harsh, like, you ask them, is that gun control too harsh? That's gun control. We cannot have you can't just go and buy a rocket launcher right now. We have gun control already. Most conservatives have this belief that the US currently has no gun control laws at the federal level. And they think like they think that, the Second Amendment protects them from having the ability to defend themselves by whatever means that they want. But that's just not true. You can't own a nuke. You can't own a rocket launcher. Now, there are some private lands where you can mess around with this stuff, but you just can't purchase this stuff legally and use this stuff like you would a typical gun. That's called gun control. We have gun control. You might say, well, nukes aren't guns, but that's just a point about vocabulary. The principle underneath is what matters here. You can't just purchase a rocket launcher. Now, what you do with right-wingers is you ask them if they support that gun control. Does that gun control make sense in the US? Most people would say yes. The obvious follow-up question is, why? Why? And then you start working your way backwards. Does it make sense to ban high-capacity magazines? Why or why not? Keep in mind that you have to work backwards from the principle that rocket launchers and nukes should be banned, not just gun control itself. You don't just try to find where their limit is, you find the principle for why their limit exists where it exists. For example, I think that assault weapons should be banned. Why? Because more guns correspond to more gun violence at every layer of locality. And according to every modern researcher and Harvard's comprehensive literature review on, I think it's over 20 modern research papers that all conclusively argue that more guns correspond to more gun violence. That's the principle underneath, that more guns means more gun violence. However, you should push back at me. So when I say, like, I think we should ban assault weapons, you should push back at me, because according to that principle, I shouldn't even be in support of handguns. And you're right, I'm not. The principle would lead me to conclude that I'm against guns in general, and I am. I'm that one progressive that isn't an incrementalist about gun control. You see, I hate the idea that we should pass baby step measures to reduce gun violence. In my view, that's comparable to baby step corrections towards Medicare for all. So like all those people who say, yeah, Obamacare was great, right? That's incrementalism towards Medicare for all. Banning assault weapons is incrementalism towards banning all guns. Almost every researcher on the matter, though, and I want every progressive to listen to this, because even progressives they can't wrap their mind around this. Almost every researcher on this matter suggests that we should just jump to Medicare for all. And likewise, every researcher on gun violence claims that we should effectively ban guns outright. So this video from Rob Smith is just really strange, because he actually puts pictures of assault rifles. And it makes you scratch your head and ask, like, why? Why assault rifles? Do you need to make sure you sink that barrel down their throat and then spray and pray into their brains? Is that your response to hate crimes? That's your response to hate crimes? Because that's really weird. That's a really weird way to respond to hate crimes, to gun violence. But that's the thing, like, they don't think through this. They don't think that their audience is smart enough to think through that. So I really want to emphasize, everyone, and I know this is a radical position. Not a lot, like Kyle Kulinski wouldn't stand on this issue. TYT doesn't stand on this issue. I believe we should ban guns. I believe we should ban guns outright. Number one, we have more guns than people. That's not okay. Number two, more guns equal more homicide, more gun violence, and also more homicides. And that's true at every layer of locality. And all these people will say, well, Chicago, well, LA, well, Baltimore, well, New York City, all this gun violence. Those cities I just stated, specifically LA, I think Baltimore too. I might be wrong about Baltimore. LA, New York City, Chicago, all have better than average when it comes to gun violence. They are better than average per capita. They're better than average not per capita. Both ways. Those cities, all of those cities are literally better than average. And that includes if you look at every city or if you just look at cities with over 100,000 in population. Either way, those cities are safer. And they don't even have gun control. Chicago banned their, they got rid of the bill that banned the sale of firearms like 10 years ago. Come on, guys. Like, wake up. You know, this is the thing. Progressives are like 20 years behind on this issue. You guys need to do some serious research. The modern researchers, just Google search. Here, I'll do this for you guys. Gosh, you guys are going to make me. I'll do this for you. We're going to Google research the Harvard study for you all because, you know, every time people cite your sources, okay, let me do this for you. We're going to search Harvard gun violence literature review. All right, here it is. I believe this is it. Yes, okay, so this is from Harvard Injury Control Research Center. These are the conclusions. And I want everyone to really pay attention to this because this is a literature review that is so freaking big in the the research community for gun violence. Number one, where there are more guns, there is more homicide, according to the literature review. There are so many studies on that. Number two, across high-income nations, more guns equal more homicide. Number three, across states, more guns equal more homicide. Number four, across states, here's another study that shows across states, more guns equal more homicide. Number five, a summary of the evidence on guns and violent death, which is another chapter that discusses how the number of guns correspond to the number of violent deaths. Number six, more guns equal more homicides of police. So all of you Republicans out there that say Blue Lives Matter, more guns equal more homicides of police. And then there was another recent study that suggests that that a gun in your house means you are more likely to die of gun violence. So you think you're trying to protect yourself, you're actually more likely to die of gun violence if you try to protect yourself. These are the people with the mentality of, oh, I'm going to lock it up, I'm going to be safe and everything. Doesn't matter. So everyone, I want you to pay attention to what I'm suggesting here. You really need to look into how progressives are handling this issue. Progressives are looking at this from a very incrementalist standpoint. They're like, well, let's focus on universal background checks. Let's focus on licensing. Let's focus on trying to shut down the gun show loophole. No. We need to stand up for what's right. And for all you people out there that suggest that, hey, you shouldn't stand on an issue if it's so overwhelmingly unpopular. You're never going to pass a measure to ban guns. You're never going to pass a measure to ban guns. Why would you support such a thing? And my response to you is, what do you think Bernie Sanders has been doing with Medicare for All for the last 30 years? Medicare for All wasn't popular until 2016. There's about 25 years before that where Bernie Sanders was supporting Medicare for all. Do you think he was popular? Hell no. Hell no. And so in the same way, progressives, you guys need to stop being incrementalists. Oh, I messed up my ending. That sucks. That's all right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the live feed. I'm going to read some chat messages. It looks like we have a few viewers here. 5, which is less than what we are at, 14. That's okay, though. You know, YouTube likes Steven Crowder more than me somehow. I'm still trying to get over that. But we'll get there. Don't worry. Drop the source link in the chat. Will do. Hold on. Let me do that right now for you. Might take me a sec. Hold on. There you go. That's a source link. You guys can click on that link. I'll put it in the description as well. All right, there you go. So it should be in the live chat now. Also in the description is the link to all of these research articles. And keep in mind, too, these are huge research articles. These are not even like these are the peak of research. So this isn't even including all the research that it's built up to. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to get, I think we're going to take, are we going to take a quick break? Yeah, I believe. Let me double check. Hold on. Yes, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, because no progressive wants, well, some progressives are talking about him, but every progressive is focused on Donald Trump. No one's focusing on Hunter Biden. So when we come back, we will we'll discuss that. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm making toast. So I have this apple butter. I figured I'd hang out with you guys a little bit while I make this toast. You might be asking, wow, that's a lot of toast. Boom. Guys gotta eat eventually. But I figured I could address some questions from you guys in the chat while I eat this toast. So ignore the dignity aspect of this whole thing and just focus on the questions and what I'm saying. So feel free to ask any questions. Drop any questions right now in the live chat, and I'll be focusing on only new ones. So Annex says, hypocrites and corruption in both parties. Absolutely. There's so much corruption, unfortunately, in both parties. And it's a Bernie or bust. That's it. I mean, that's the way I see it. I'm gonna prep for my next video too. Evan says, I disagree with you about direct democracy. Which is better, direct or representative democracy, and why? This is a really tricky question. So first off, I think you and I would both be able to agree that ranked choice voting needs to exist. If you don't know CBP Gray, take a look at that guy's YouTube channel. He's got over 1 million subs, I think. He's a pretty good content creator, but he talks about the different ways you can do representative democracy while still attending to the democracy aspect of it. So you can have representative democracy while still having a democracy. I forgot what the most optimal way of doing it. It involves ranked choice, but just look up CBP Gray representative democracy. Some really good effective ways of doing it. So I think you can do a representative democracy and still kind of give that flavor of direct democracy. Now when it comes to voting on measures on the ballot measures, my thing disconnected, hold on one second. I think that we should definitely have a direct democracy in that sense. We don't need a representative democracy. I want to vote on Medicare for all. I think mob rule is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There never has been either. Gravel. Gravel is an interesting character. Let me ask you all in the chat. Sorry, my mouth is open. What should the voting age be? What should the voting age be? That's my question to you. $16. Yeah. I might say 14. So Evan says, I bring up Switzerland as a case example against direct democracy. In one instance, 66% of the referendum voters supported a racist I'm not good with my Islam vocabulary. Burqa ban, plus consider popular yet immoral policies such as the death penalty. I probably I messed that up really bad. But anyways, yeah, but here's the thing. You showed that there's an example where direct democracy can end up passing something wrong. How do you know a representative democracy would prevent that from happening? And that's literally impossible to show. It's literally impossible to show. So just keep that in mind. By the way, Hitler was elected chancellor because of how the districts were set up in a representative democracy fashion. There was, he didn't win, right? He got chancellor, but he still got into power because of how the districts were allocated. How's the toast? Dude, so this is apple butter. I don't even know what that is. How do you make apple butter? But it's so good. It's really good. It's not warm, it's cold toast, which sucks because toast is supposed to be toast. So, you know. Annex says gerrymandering. Is that a question or a comment or I'm not sure. So one person just joined as a viewer. If you just entered into this YouTube live stream, you're probably wondering, what the heck am I looking at? I'm looking at some dude eating toast. I'm hungry, man. So I gotta, I'm not Cenk Uygur who can, make 30 videos a day and never eat. Evan, I think you're right. So there's a lot more volatility in terms of what policies are passed, but think of it from the opposite end of the spectrum for a second. We don't have a direct democracy right now. We have everything but a direct democracy. In fact, it's so hard. It's so representative in the sense that you have to bypass a House and a Senate to pass a bill, and you have to pass a filibuster, meaning you have to get more than 66 votes to pass something. So that leads to no policies. There's no policy volatility. I'm on the side of there's no sweet spot. It's just let there be as much volatility as possible and somehow manage that. That's my take, and I think that would be a lot better. Although I think people might be able to get away with arguing that there's a sweet spot in the amount of volatility of what policies are passed. I'm halfway done, guys. You impatient hawks. I lost 10 viewers because I'm eating toast. At least I'm not AOC. At least I don't eat food while talking policy. Like, I'll talk video games with you guys if you want. I'm a huge gamer. You guys want to know? No, that actually makes sense. Look at that. You're hungry, and you know it. You're hungry. That looks good. That's perfectly brown. Look at that. Damn. I feel like I could just like reveal, like, look at this. Boom. Damn. Ever played the BioShock series? No, that's like the one series I have not played. It looks a little bit too mythical for me. Well, I mean, I haven't played it, so. But I don't play BioShock. I like grand strategy games. I'm a Zelda fan. I'll play like StarCraft 2. It's my thing. Counter-Strike, CSGO. I like those games. Rocket League, I'll play here and there. I suck at Rocket League, but I'm into all sorts of the different things. Yeah, they are. They're good games. That's the thing, Evan, is I do think that in terms of majority, I do think that the people are becoming more and more progressive. And so I think that there wouldn't be a mob rule mentality in the sense of like you'd get these crazy policies. I think that might have been true during the Jim Crow era, but that's because it was the Jim Crow era. That's my thoughts. That was good toast. I'm gonna go wash up and then we'll do some more. Oh, jeez. Made a huge mess over here. I'm gonna clean up. It'll take me about like 2 minutes. Be right back. So Joe Biden wants you to know that he's totally free from corruption because his son Hunter Biden just stepped down from a Chinese company. I'm going to exaggerate the scenario to explain why Joe Biden is really bad at making political calculations here. Imagine if I ran for office and my kid was a serial murderer who has not been thrown in jail and that I'm involved in helping him not go to prison because of my political position. Full stop. That's already messed up. Now imagine if I told everyone, hey, listen, I know things look really weird and messed up, but my kid just threw away his gun. And so he's not going to do anything from here on out. So we're all good now, right? I know he might have murdered someone, but threw his gun away, so we're good. We're good. Do you understand how that logic makes no sense? Joe Biden wants you to know that he is not involved in corruption anymore. Wow, Joe. If you want to pull off your corruption, you're supposed to just not talk about it and scapegoat Trump and cross your fingers hoping nobody notices, just like Hillary Clinton did with her corruption. See, that's what Joe Biden is so much worse than Hillary Clinton. I actually thought in 2016 that Hillary Clinton was as bad as it could get. She was supposed to just shut her mouth, and she might have been able to sneak into the White House like Obama did. But she made some really, really bad choices. For example, she came out in favor of the Keystone XL pipeline. She just kept saying the quiet part loud, but she only did it every few weeks. Joe Biden somehow manages to exploit his corruption every single time he goes in public. So much so that his campaign is literally trying to prevent him from speaking publicly right now. You know you're bad when your advisor recommends that you don't talk. It's time to drop out, Biden. Your corruption is so obvious that even Trump could exploit you and look good doing it. All right, so let's read some comments. Oh, looks like we have no comments. No new comments. If you guys have any questions in between segments, I answer questions or comments, or I'll address whatever. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to do the next segment.
Real change never takes place down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining
free tuition. Free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added the priority is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America a week should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is
leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate ended an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work
and education, not jails, and it costs. We are not to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage $6 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared, there is no end to what the great nation can
accomplish.
All right, so I gotta fix one quick thing, and then apparently my computer is running out of storage, so I need to make sure it doesn't die on us. That would be unfortunate. Let me free up some space real quick. There we go. That's better. Let me empty the recycling bin, and then we'll get on to the next segment. This one's on AOC, which will be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. Come on, computer. See, I got this new laptop. It's a gaming laptop. It's an HP Pavilion Gaming. Of course, it's an HP computer. That's why. That's what it is. Gosh dang. Why am I so stupid? Why did I do that? All right. Make sure everything's good. All right. We're good. Let me pull up the AOC ad. All right. Let's get started. AOC recently proposed legislation called A Just Society. And I'm actually really surprised that progressive YouTube channels aren't talking about this, considering how amazing this proposal is. Let me read the intro to this policy from AOC's website. So take a look. So this says, A Just Society. Representative Ocasio-Cortez believes that we must build a just society to protect our communities and uplift our neighbors. A Just Society legislation aims to combat one of the greatest threats to our country, our democracy, and our freedom, economic inequality. It is for that reason that Representative Ocasio-Cortez introduced these measures to address economic injustice. These stark inequalities are being used by those in power to amplify fear and anger in our communities and further divide us. We must act boldly and swiftly to reverse the corrosive effects extreme inequality and poverty are having on our society. A Just Society aims to ensure that we are on a path towards shared prosperity for all. A Just Society provides a living wage, safe working conditions, and health care. A Just Society acknowledges the value of immigrants to our communities. A Just Society guarantees safe, comfortable, and affordable housing. By strengthening our social and economic foundations, we are preparing ourselves to embark on a journey to save our planet by rebuilding our economy and cultivating a just society. Now, there are 6 layers to this legislation. I want to read just each one because it's really comprehensive. It's a really comprehensive bill. So let's start with the Recognizing Poverty Act. Productivity has risen and more family members have entered the workforce, but purchasing power. Actually, I'll read the second half because the second half the first half introduces the problem. The second half is what's going to happen. So this bill directs the Department of Health and Human Services in collaboration with the Bureau of Census and Bureau of Labor Statistics to adjust the federal poverty line to account for geographic cost variation, costs related to health insurance, work expenses for the family, childcare needs, and new necessities like internet access. So basically, federal poverty should not be the same throughout all of the U.S. Let's go to the next part, which is the Embrace Act. This bill would ensure that all persons in need are eligible for the largest programs of the social safety net, regardless of their immigration status. So that's huge. So basically, you get access to all of the social safety net that you can get by a right. So it's not like you have to apply or anything. These things are given to you as a right. That's my perception of what this bill is. part is the Uplift Act. This says this bill directs the Department of Labor in collaboration with the Office of Management and Budget to create a worker-friendly score for federal contracts. This score would consider factors such as paid family leave, scheduling predictability, a $15 minimum wage or otherwise prevailing wage, and union membership to ensure that all federal agencies prioritize contractors that are worker-friendly when deciding what entities deserve public funds. So this is huge, especially considering Amazon gets many contracts from the U.S. And there are a lot of the military industrial complex gets huge contracts. So it's important to know that those industries, if they're going to do contracts at all, they at least need to, abide by some basic, rights to their workers' rights. So let's go on to the next one, the place to prosper. So this bill protects tenants, improves the quality of housing stock, reins in corporate landlords, and seeks to ensure that housing is available and affordable for all. So it's guaranteed housing for all, which is huge. The next one is the merciful part. I forgot what it's called. This bill ensures that all persons in need are eligible for the social safety net, regardless of prior involvement with the criminal justice system. So it doesn't matter if you served your time in jail or whatever, you still get access to the social safety net. That's huge. And then the last aspect of this bill, this legislation, guarantees the economic. I don't know what that is. I'm waiting for it to load. Here we go. This bill instructs the executive branch to reinitiate ratification processes for the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. The ICESCR states that all persons have the right to work, fair and just conditions of work, social security, and adequate standard of living, including adequate food, clothing, housing, and health care. So that's an overarching policy. So this policy is really huge. Now, of course, Fox News wants to crap on this plan by claiming arbitrarily that this proposal would ruin the economy and raise your taxes. What? Take a look at this article. I'm not kidding. Justin Haskins. AOC's new scheme would destroy U.S. economy, create giant government, and raise your taxes. Let's read a little bit into this. Because of course, this is, absolutely predictable. Socialist representative, right off the bat, we're going to call her socialist representative, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has moved from the loony left to the Twilight Zone with her latest nutty plan to achieve her impossible dream of turning America into a socialist utopia. Jeez, man. Your rhetoric needs to calm down quite a bit. In reality, the Congresswoman's plan would bring about a national nightmare, not just for all of us alive today, but for future generations, because it would destroy the U.S. economy. Building it back up would take a very long time. Ocasio-Cortez labels her absurd plan a just society. If you regret not being born early enough to enjoy the fun times of the Great Depression, or want to live in a worker's paradise like North Korea, Venezuela, or Cuba, you'll love Comrade AOC's plan. I'm just going to stop there. That's exactly what's wrong with Fox News. This article is so insanely lazy, though. If AOC came out with a proposal that would guarantee former prisoners the right to vote, the right would claim that measure would raise your taxes and ruin the economy. Oh my gosh. Prisoners have the right to Social Security. Our economy is going to crumble. Oh my gosh. Like, come on, dude. Come on. Read the plan. It's such a non-point. It has nothing to do with the proposal at all. This attack piece on Fox from Fox on Ocasio-Cortez just attacks AOC for the sake of attacking her. It has no substance whatsoever. You know why? Because if the reader knew what AOC actually proposed and you took away AOC, they'd probably say, oh yeah, that definitely makes sense to at least 4 out of the 6 proposals. They don't want you to know what the policy is because the policy is popular. That's so typical for Fox News. It's so annoying. In that entire article, everyone, not one place does this author explain what a just society is. They just throw ad hominems. AOC is such a comrade, socialist, communist, socialist. Right? Venezuela, USSR, China, they want to steal and kill your kids. Right? It's this sort of rhetoric that is so freaking lazy, but Fox News, that's typical Fox News. All right, we're back. So, I'll read a live chat post that made my day today. Evan says, heading out from live, but just signed up for tier 1 for Patreon. Currently unemployed, so who knows for how long, but everyone else in chat should do the same. Thank you so much, Evan. Although I would suggest that you're not a Patreon just because you're unemployed, man. You need that money. I don't need the money. So don't worry about it, man. Just you're unemployed, so just take that into consideration, man. I don't want you to be in a hard economic situation. It's already hard enough on people who are struggling, but just know that I set up the Patreon just because I want to eventually become completely independent and completely run on small dollar donations, which would be great. But thank you so much, Evan. I really appreciate it. That really means a lot to me. It's really awesome that I have subscribers like you. So thank you, honestly. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, let's see what we're doing next. Real quick, I have prepped up my notes. Let's see here. Is this it? Hold on. Yeah, this is it. This is a great... All right, I'm going to show you all a video from Joe Biden. This video is so amazing. You have to watch it. It's amazing. But let's take a quick break.
Real change never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Free tuition. Free college tuition. Free tuition champion, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders added, the greatest threat to national security is climate change.
The future of our planet is at stake.
Sanders taking on Amazon.
Bernie Sanders has been consistent hammering about income inequality.
Nobody in America works 40 hours a week, should be living in poverty. So our economy is rigged. We have a campaign finance system which is corrupt.
Sanders leading the charge to stop war against Yemen.
The first time ever the Senate has voted to end an unauthorized war.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
Major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers. Brothers and sisters, we have a lot of work in front of us. If we are prepared to stand together, there is no end to what the great people of our nation can accomplish.
Oh my goodness, this next video you all need to pay attention to because it is going to be the best video I've probably done in a long time, just because the content is so funny. All right, take a look. I already messed this video up. Best video ever right there. Look at that. Let me try that one more time because we had a little technical difficulty on my pseudo studio here. Let's try that one more time. Here we go. I want to read you my favorite quote from Joe Biden so far. This one actually makes Donald Trump look smart. Let me read this and then we'll watch the video. Quote, this is it. We talked about this in San Francisco's all about, well, you know, gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man. End quote. Let me read that quote again. we talked about this in San Francisco's all about, well, you know, gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man. End quote. That's a quote from Joe Biden, not Trump. Joe Biden. That's actually what he said at a recent town hall for members of LGBTQ community. That's what he said to the LGBTQ community too. When I originally read that quote, I thought there's no way he actually said that. There's no way he actually said that. There's no way. Well, if you still don't believe me, watch the video. Watch the video. You're going to be amazed.
We talked about this in San Francisco. It's all about, well, you know, gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man. We talked about this in San Francisco. It's all about, well, you know, gay bathhouses and everybody. It's all about round the clock sex. It's all, come on, man. We talked about this in San Francisco.
What? What? The question was, look at this. The question was, what would you do to help ease racial disparities in health, including higher HIV rates in Black America? The question was, what would you do to help ease racial disparities in health, including higher HIV rates in Black America? That was the question. This guy has no clue at all about what's going on. The only statement he said in that entire 10-second piece was, quote, it's all about round the clock sex, end quote. Everything else was literally gibberish. He's not mentally fit for office. He's worse than Trump. He's actually worse than Trump. You see, when you read a transcript from Trump, he sounds really stupid. But at least with Trump, you can figure out what he's trying to say and what he means when you listen to him, right? Sometimes. I don't want to give him too much credit. Joe Biden is actually mentally unstable here. He also managed to say in the same town hall, he managed to say, quote, when I came out in the same town hall for members of the LGBTQ community, he accidentally claimed that he came out at a town hall for members of the LGBTQ community. Yet even despite these insane slip-ups, the mainstream media still decided to focus on the protests that night. Oh, there are all these protests. That was their focus. Even TYT focused on that. They virtue signaled all night and pretended that they care. All these politicians, Joe Biden, I'm like not gay, but gay bathhouses, round the clock sex. Come on, man. What the hell are you saying? CNN cares though, right? Why aren't you talking about this weird quote? Why are people not talking about this? Why are you not throwing this guy straight under a bus? It's the easiest home run ever. Anyone could bring this up. It's like, gosh, I feel like I'm punching down at this rate, man. You can't even step up to the plate though, CNN. Come on. Dunk on him already. He can't be our next president. All right, so we got no new comments, but that's totally okay. Let me prep for the next one because I think I can do this really quickly. We might take a break. I don't know yet. Yeah, this one's good. All right, we're gonna do this one pretty quickly, so we won't need to take a break. This one's about a Trump nominee who's actually stupid. Like this guy's actually dumb. Let me make sure I have everything ready. We're good to go. So Trump is trying to nominate one of the dumbest judicial nominees on a federal bench for a lifetime appointment. This guy is dumb, not only because he has extreme right views, but also because he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything about how to do an interview. So much so that he somehow managed to piss off Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee. I messed up the video. Look at that. Oh, I gotta start the video over one more time. I can't slip up on words and post that video live on YouTube because that'll get me a lot of bad comments on the comment section. Let's try that one more time. So Trump is trying to nominate one of the dumbest judicial nominees on a federal bench for a lifetime appointment. This guy is dumb, not only because he has extreme right views, but also because he doesn't know anything about how to do an interview. So much so that he somehow managed to piss off Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Judicial Committee. I can't say that word right. Including, by the way, Lindsey Graham and John Kennedy. That's not an exaggeration. If you piss off even the furthest right senators in Congress, you know you're not in the right place. Take a look at this video and then we'll talk about it.
So I apologize if I had crossed. It was my intent.
I'm not asking
about
for what advice you gave. I'm not asking you to disclose any confidence. I'm asking you if you worked on the issue of denying DACA status to those who are receiving treatment for life-threatening illnesses.
Senator, again, I want to be as transparent as possible.
Then please be transparent.
For this, I think I'm happy to. I would like to clarify that particular writing because it has come up.
Could you start by answering the question that I asked?
Well, I think it's important to provide context because
you can, but answer the question that I asked first. Did it or did it not happen?
Did you work on the subject matter?
Senator, I worked on immigration
No, it's a specific question. Did you give legal advice on the subject matter?
I'm just asking if you have either worked or advised
on the administration's policy of separating families at the border. I'm not asking what, just whether you've done it.
Senator, I have provided advice to policymakers within the White House on many policy issues, including immigration, but I can't, consistent with my duty of confidentiality to the White House, talk about particular instances on which I worked.
This isn't supposed to be a game. We're supposed to try to understand not how you're going to rule, but how you're going to think.
Well, Senator, I'm happy to be more forthcoming if you have a follow-up. I'm trying to be.
I'm out of time. You took a lot of it by not answering my questions.
Ooh, damn. That was hard to watch. You can see how Lindsey Graham and John Kennedy are so pissed that they have to throw one of their own under the bus because he's so bad. Typically, the way this is supposed to go is the extreme right-winger is supposed to ignore the Democrats' questions and play for time, and they're supposed to answer the really easy questions from the conservatives. Somehow, this guy failed to answer even the easiest questions. This guy could be a federal judge for life. Let that sink in for a moment. A federal judge. Congress has an approval rating of 18% right now, and somehow even their worst members on the Senate Judiciary Committee can't stand this guy. That's not good. That's not good. But that's who Trump appointed, guys. That's who Trump wants in the federal bench. All right, so we got one more video. Ooh, hold on. This is on Cold Feet Crowder. Yes, this video is going to be awesome. Here we go. We're doing this one on Cold Feet Crowder. I have to do some quick... I have to pull up the video real quick, and then we'll start the live feed. Montfort, I'm not even gonna say that right. Says, "Oh heavens, yeah, that was really cringy. That was really cringy." All right, let's see here. This one should be this one might be a PragerU video. I'm having difficulty finding it for some reason though. All right, so I'm going to have to manually pull this one up, so it might take me a little bit of time here. Sorry, everyone. I got 4 viewers. You guys can wait. All right, here we go. Yes, this one will work. All right, we're prepped. Cold Feet Crowder, aka Clam Chowder, aka Steven Crowder, wants you to know that Christopher Columbus is an amazing person and should be celebrated in the US because of his historical importance. Now, I made sure to bring my socks for this. Did I bring my socks? Oh, I forgot my socks. Dang. All right. Well, I have my socks ready for the segment, but I guess I don't have my socks. But if you were willing to please donate socks to Cold Feet Crowder, make sure you at least at the bare minimum take a picture of your socks and tag Crowder on Twitter, because that, no one deserves to have cold feet like Crowder does. Crowder, if you're out there, you should know that you don't have to do this. You can always just accept Sam Cedars' offer and debate him. Make sure you send him my regards. I'll make sure that I post on Twitter later today my own socks. No one should have to live with cold feet. It's too hard. # Cold Feet Crowder. Now take a look at this video and then we'll talk about it.
Thanksgiving.
Independence Day, Memorial Day, holidays are a great time to riddle Americans with needless oppressive guilt. But the one that stands head and shoulders above the rest is Columbus Day. The day where progressives indoctrinate your children into believing Columbus to be Satan incarnate, the USA to be his evil spawn, and the Native Americans to be pacifists. And so now we have Indigenous Peoples Day. Or as it would have been named 30 years ago, Aboriginals Day. Or as it would have been named 10 or 15 years ago, Native Americans Day. Or as it could be named tomorrow in Canada, First Nation Peoples Day. Feeling the urge to self-inflict grievous bodily harm yet? That's only natural because the whole charade has become an exercise in hating Western civilization, which is really just an exercise in hating yourself. First, as far as Columbus goes, the guy deserves some credit. Right? Flawed, to be sure, but he was the greatest navigator of his age, the first person to cross the Atlantic from the continent of Europe, and he did so without any maps and only 3 small ships. If you can name them, by the way, comment below, as I'm sure your professor can't. But your professor probably has taught you the tale of Columbus as a villain, usually as a starting off point to indict the United States as a whole, often relying on a few key myths and some pivotal lies by omission. So, to start with, I'll bet that you probably believe Columbus and other European settlers to simply have committed mass genocide against Native Americans. Sorry, indigenous. But here's the truth. While there were many examples of brutal warfare between Europeans and Native Americans, neither side actually committed genocide. In fact, there was never an outright policy of Indian extermination.
So let's just correct the most obvious myth that Crowder somehow believes. Columbus was not the first European colonist. That title goes to the Norse, aka the Vikings, who settled and colonized America in the 10th century. Now let's get to the crux of Cold Feet Crowder's argument. His entire point is that Columbus was a victim as much as the Native Americans at the time. Cold Feet Crowder even made the statement that, quote, there was never a policy of Indian extermination. First, that's technically true for 2 reasons. First one, technically, Spain did not pass a policy to exterminate anyone because that's screwed up, and you shouldn't do that, at least in writing. And second, technically, Indian people are in the country of India. Now, I know Cold Feet Crowder is trying to not be politically correct intentionally, but we just need to get the easy stuff out of the way first. Now, let's get to the crux of his argument. Was Columbus a terrible person, and does he deserve a holiday? Let's go through the things he did. For one, Columbus and his group killed off 95% of the population from diseases. But what Cold Feet Crowder doesn't understand is that Columbus knew how this worked at the time. It's not like this Spaniard went to this land and accidentally spread his diseases. He thought he was going to India. A European thought he was going to the other side of the world, India. Obviously, he knew he'd spread his diseases because India would likely be infected by those diseases in the same way that the natives were. But the thing was, he just doesn't understand the most basic stuff. What Cold Feet Crowder doesn't understand is that Columbus was not careful about how he interacted with the natives because he didn't care. He saw all this gold and wealth and wanted it for himself. And so he did what's called biological warfare. He intentionally spread diseases through, quote, the Columbian Exchange. Researchers even have a title for this thing, the Columbian Exchange, which was essentially comparable to mailing anthrax. It's a form of terrorism, and that was Columbus's intention. If you notice, when settlers landed in different parts of the New World, some natives managed to survive plagues of diseases because the settlers would sometimes care about not conducting biological warfare. On top of that, Columbus's intentions were clear. He wanted to enslave these people, which was ironically very controversial at the time, even with Spain, since the international slave trade era was just starting. If you don't believe me, he wrote in his journal how he did it on his first day. He enslaved 6 people, 6 Native Americans. Now he continued to enslave natives and even managed to enforce iron discipline, which was seen as barbaric. Again, at the time that this happened, it was barbaric then. People looked at that and they're like, dude, whoa, what are you doing, man? He would kill, guys, he would kill and disembody natives that rebelled, and he would showcase their body parts in parades through the streets. Listen, you might think that this was normal because of the time period, but Spain actually got pissed off at Columbus for killing all these natives and displaying their body parts publicly. So much so, they actually sent a crew, Spain sent a crew to arrest him, bring him back to Spain, and strip every amount of prestige and governorship. Not even Spain could honor the very guy that led their nation to the discovery of the New World at the time. You can say that Columbus was responsible for leading the Spanish to insane amounts of wealth, but even they couldn't honor the guy that led them there in the first place because he was so disgusting. Imagine being too barbaric for Spain. Spain, at the dawn of the 16th century, you know, the ones that sent the Spanish conquistadors thought Columbus was too corrupt. Why is it that we should celebrate a dude that was that messed up? Let that sink in for a moment. Why is it that we're celebrating a guy who discovered this land, who was a Spaniard? The credit should be given from Spain, by the way, because Spain owned Columbus at the time. Columbus was a citizen of Spain, not the New World, not the US. He was never part of the US. This guy couldn't even be honored by Spain. They stripped him of his rewards, his governorship, everything. Think about that. The country who should be taking responsibility for Spain, for Columbus at the time, the people who should be saying, we did it, we found it, like, let me give you a comparison. Imagine the US saying, oh my goodness, Neil Armstrong is barbaric. We need to strip him of all of his awards and prestige and, you know, everything, and all of his certifications and everything. Imagine saying that. You would have to have a really messed up Neil Armstrong, because Neil Armstrong was the first person to set foot on the moon. Like, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. The US would want to claim ownership of that. Imagine us not claiming ownership of that. Imagine us saying, yeah, let's not talk about that. But we're Spain, and this is when Columbus was alive. Not now, but when Columbus was around. Come on, guys. That's really barbaric. All right, everyone, we're wrapping it up. Thank you so much for watching our live stream. Hopefully we'll be doing a live stream either within the next week. I'm not sure, but just check back around noon every day. Every day there's a video posted at noon, or there's a live stream at noon, one of the two. Thanks, everyone, and